I've got a very special guest now. Jim Molan joins us, and we have two big stories coming out of Asia today. The first one I want to talk about is something Jim Molan's been warning us about for a while now, the possibility of war between China and Taiwan. Jim on this show has said that war was years down the line, but perhaps it's going to be sooner than we thought. The Foreign Minister of Taiwan has said that the island is preparing for invasion, and experts agree, saying that China wants to reclaim Taiwan as a key to securing Xi's legacy. Jim, how scared are you of war happening imminently? China is on the march, and what is Australia going to do? What's America going to do?
Yes, good evening, Rita. To say that we're frightened, I think, is a very important point. The problem I've got is we're not frightened enough. And we know what China will do because President Xi has kept on telling us. And we've been ignoring authoritarian rulers over the last 100 years to our cost. They tend to tell you exactly what they want to do, and we don't believe it. So maybe, regardless of how frightened we are, maybe we should be a lot more frightened. There is a pattern of coercion and aggression here that is getting worse and worse and worse. Over the last 4 days, roughly 150 air incursions have occurred between the Chinese mainland and Taiwan in what's called an air defence identification zone, which is not the national airspace of Taiwan, but it is an internationally agreed identification zone. And the reason that China is doing it is to tell America and Taiwan that China sets the rules in that part of the world. And this is something that we'd better start getting used to. We don't know when it's going to happen, when they will move on Taiwan. But what we do know, sadly, Rita, is that it's not going to be geographically limited to that little island of Taiwan and the Straits and a bit of the Chinese mainland, because China would be stupid to actually just attack Taiwan, because that then leaves the Americans to do what they do. And what China really must do, and this has deep consequences for us, what China has got to do, it's got to force America out of the Western Pacific, and then it can deal very easily with Taiwan. The way it does that is by attacking American bases in Japan, in South Korea, and in Guam. And it's not just me saying it, it's not just us saying it, it is the American commanders who are saying it, admitting that they cannot, in the war games that they play, win the Taiwan scenario. Now, if that doesn't make us all in Oz frightened, Rita, I don't know what does.
Well, yeah, that sounds bloody terrifying. And we've seen how disastrously the US handled the Afghanistan withdrawal, that completely botched that. Can we rely on them to stand up for liberty and democracy here? You're saying that their generals are telling them that they wouldn't be able to stand up to the might of China. So what's next? If they can't stand up for the free world, what's the next step for China after Taiwan?
Well, I think that if the scenario that I see is militarily logical, that is, China firstly attacks everything that we have in space. It attacks us cyber-wise. It then attacks those bases I've spoken about. Because of the size of the Pacific Ocean, there is very little that America can do. China has the ability to attack those bases, and it has the ability to attack a fleet. There is a strategy behind all of this. But we focus for very good reasons on two things when we look at foreign countries, and the Afghanistan failure is indicative of this. We focus on the intent of a country, and that's what everyone focused on. After Afghanistan, they said, well, will the Americans do it? And we don't know what the Americans will do. If the Americans don't believe that they can satisfactorily resolve a Taiwan scenario, that is, in some way, shape or form, the Chinese moving on Taiwan directly or indirectly, why would they do it? Because they're going to get beaten. And so that's intent. And if they don't stand up for Taiwan, because they've been saying so long they will, if they don't stand up to Taiwan, for Taiwan, then China is the dominant force in this region, and my fear is that Southeast Asia will turn towards Taiwan, and little old us will have to pull out those 14 conditions that the Chinese told us we should observe, and maybe that's the end of democratic Australia. But the second thing, it's not just intent, it's capability. The American armed forces have reduced by 30 to 50%, maybe not in their numbers or anything like that, but in what they can do. And numbers are irrelevant in the military. It's what they can do. And the American military, in what they can do, has decreased 30 to 50% since the end of the Cold War. And of course, we have a one-shot military which lacks lethality, it lacks sustainability, and it's not big enough.
Oh, Jim, everything you say is terrifying, I don't mind saying. Absolutely terrifying, but enormously important. Now, that second story I want to ask you about is China might come crawling back to Australia for our coal after banning Australian coal to punish us for wanting to know the origins of the COVID-19 outbreak. What should we do here, Jim? Should we accommodate them or should we play tough?
Well, I think we should sell everything we can to China, iron ore, coal, anything they want to sell to us, as long as we put the money that we make from it into national security. But we don't. We will sell whatever we like to China, and then God knows where the money will go. We've just spent $331 billion on COVID, and I'm not complaining about that much. But what I'm worried about that is that could have gone to a range of things, which meant that we could be self-reliant in relation to a change of power in our part of the world. The biggest problem, though, Rita, is that yes, they might come crawling back to us, but they've just announced the opening of a bridge across the Amur River in Western China on the border between Russia and China, so that Russian coal and iron ore by Christmas time, by the end of this year, can be brought into the steel-making places in Western China. And this is the reason that they give for it, so they are no longer dependent on Australia. So, yeah, we might do, I mean, we're doing fabulously well at the moment out of coal. If we can sell some more, I'd be very happy. I'll sell it to anyone as long as we use the money to become self-reliant as a nation and to build up our resilience.
Jim Molan, always wonderful to hear your insights. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Thanks, Rita. Thank you.